A lot of you guys have been asking, gee, when are you gonna finish the gold build? Well, I refuse to let this turn in to the new Post Malone build, where it's, where's the build, where's the build, where's the build? So we're gonna see how far we can get today. I'm not 100% positive we're gonna get it done, but I'd really hate for this to turn into a three-parter, but I digress. We're gonna see how far we can get today because we have limited time and limited skill to get it done. Today's video is sponsored by NordVPN, a service I've used for years and highly recommend. You don't want people spying on your internet connection. I mean, that's, regardless if you're doing anything important or not up there, why let people spy on your information? You know who the biggest offender at spying on you is? Your ISP. They want to slow you down and throttle your connection regardless of the speed you pay for because they shape your internet traffic. Well, start shaping your own by encrypting it and using NordVPN. And with thousands of servers in over 61 countries, regardless of where you are, you can get connected fast and secure. And you can start taking that internet security serious by saving 75% off a 3-year membership and getting a month for free by using offer code Jayztwocents at checkout. So stick it to your ISP and start surfing securely by using NordVPN. And again, 75% off a 3-year membership. That brings it down to like $2.99 a month. That's less than a cup of coffee. Is coffee more important than your internet? That's the question. There's a link down below, you should probably click it. So I'm gonna show you guys some of the parts and stuff that we've got going in here. There's one Titan card in there right now. We'll call it T-Rex, that's what NVIDIA calls it, I guess. We've also got the other one sitting here in the box. I wanna address some of the comments on this build, a lot of suggestions people had. One, I think the most common suggestion, Jay, you should totally check out the RGB Royal RAM, as if we didn't already have it. We've had this RAM since before it launched, just didn't know what I was gonna do with it. I was like, I never built a gold PC before. And then the T-Rex came out and I was like, well, obviously that is the right use case for this RAM, so we've obviously got that. Picked up a couple of 860 EVOs. These aren't even technically for this build. I just got it. And they're 1 terabyte drives. I'll probably put an NVMe in here if I have any more. Otherwise we can add that after the fact. Motherboard, we picked up the X299 Deluxe 2. So this is the second version of the original Deluxe that came out, because Asus has kind of done like sort of a generational refresh of this. So it's not an evolutionary change, it's more of a, wait, not revolutionary, evolutionary, whatever. It's a minor upgrade. Apparently it can handle a 7980XE, which is a 16 core, or 18 core, 32 math. I'd originally planned on using my 16 core for my workstation upstairs, but then I remembered we have that delidded 7980XE. Why don't I just use that? Let's also talk about some of the water cooling parts and how even a water cooling expert, such as myself, can make stupid mistakes. Like for instance, ordering the wrong radiator that's gonna be way too thick. Now yes, this is an XE360, Coolstream XE. XE stands for Extreme Edition. And this would, of course, fit in the front of the case. The problem is once you add fan thickness, and then you add my reservoir combo, which I want to mount to it, I then don't have enough room to clear the back of the graphics cards. So I'm probably gonna end up using a different radiator that I have in stock, because the Extreme is 60 millimeters thick. That's with 3 Cs. Seriously, it's like easily a C per 20 mil. And there's 60, so 20 times 3 is 60. So if I were to, can I even get this in there? Add 25 more millimeters for the fan thickness, which would, I want to put the fans on the inside there. Pushes it out to about there. I don't know, we might end up having enough room for it. Guess there's only one way to find out. Speaking of combo, we're using the D5. This is the Photon 170 from XSPC. Glass reservoir, I love these. The other comment some people said was, Jay, why don't you just water cool the graphics cards? Because as soon as I pull this cooler off of here, there's no more gold. The entire theme of this build is based on the gold T-Rex. So I'm leaving the coolers on here for multiple reasons. One, that way I can take them out easily if I want to use them to beat Steve. And 2, they're our theme. So yeah, let's just kind of see how far we get today. Okay, stop the montage, just enough of that crap. So a lot of you guys always say, Jay, just take us along for the ride. Talk about what you're doing. Don't just make beautiful montages and stuff. Well, that's what we're gonna do today, because these builds, no matter how much you plan or think you've planned, things go wrong. So this is the Protum, right? Protum, I think it's called? Photon, that's it, Photon. A couple things I don't like about it. I've never really actually mounted this to the radiator. Like, this is meant to be spaced properly to be mounted to the radiator. But what we learned, and I'm not gonna really have a choice here, is that if you mount it to the rad, it's not centered. Like, they could have made it longer. They could have made that little piece longer. There's no side-to-side adjustment on it at all, as you can see. It's like it can't slide this way. I don't know why they didn't just make this part longer so that it would be centered in the radiator. So my OCD is gonna be a little going crazy. But that's not the only other thing. One of the things we've always complained about is like, man, why do people keep using Molex, Molex, death to Molex, death to Molex? So I ordered the Stata version. And I was like, oh crap, it's not sleeved. That's okay, I'll sleeve it. Oh, well, I can't depin this. Now, yes, I could cut it, sleeve it, solder it, and then all that, but why deal with all that? So we're fortunate enough around here to where we have other parts laying around that we can use. The other issue here is this just uses it says XSPC, but it's a Lang D5 pump. Any D5 is the same manufacturer, Lang, and they just put a different sticker on it. This is the ugly retention ring that comes with all D5 basic pumps. I think Swiftech was one of the first brands to actually start using the D5, and this is the ring they always used. So that's obviously ugly in there. This is more of a beauty build. And I remembered that it had one of these Protium covers from Singularity Computers. So Singularity sells this stuff, including beautiful reservoirs and stuff, which if I had more lead time before I ordered this stuff, then I would have probably gotten a Protium kit like I used in my D5. In fact, I'm gonna be taking the D5 build apart, and I thought about scavenging or salvaging out of there and putting it in this build, but I just haven't taken that system apart yet. So we're gonna be replacing this with this cap, and we're gonna be replacing the pump entirely with one of my PWM D5 pumps out of an EK reservoir. So that's the nice thing about using anything that's Lang DDC or D5 rather than some of the more proprietary, like, you know, pumps to some of the certain brands, is the fact that you can salvage them out of other parts. And the reason why I'm using this one is because it is sleeved. Getting it all to like line up can be a little bit of a pain in the butt. I'm an expert, guys. So this is what you spend a lot of time doing. No matter how many systems you've built, no matter how many water cooling runs you've made, any rigid tubes you've bent, you have to spend a lot of time just kind of looking at it and imagining how it's gonna look. And right now I've got to think about the fact that I've got tubes that are gonna be coming out of this, a drain port I've got to deal with, and then part of me is like, do I just want to go with the thinner radiator right now? I've got a 30 mil. I think a single 30 mil would be fine for the 7980XE because it's the only thing that's going to be in the loop. I'm not overclocking it very far either, maybe like 4.2. This was provided by Cable Mod. I went onto their cable configurator website and I chose the colors and stuff that I wanted, and I actually went with paracord, not a PVC sleeving or whatever it's called. They told me the color gold I wanted would not have basically worked with the nylon, but this, oh my God, look at this, freaking money, look at that. And they're paracord, but they can still be trained. So, and then I also got, like on the PSU cables and stuff for like the 8-pin power and all that, we went with white aluminum cable combs. So those are actually metal cable combs on there. So, dude, look at that. That gold turned out so much better. This is honestly the first time I opened it, as you guys saw. I just trusted that everything was perfect. And I think this is a really good gold between our painted gold and the color of the T-Rex on there. So you can see, I know, I cannot wait to get these in there. That's just look at that. Would you just look at it? So this is what I've come up with, like for the third or fourth time I've come up with something for this build. The issue stems from, again, from the fact that I went with way too thick of a radiator on accident. If I'd gotten the standard 40 mil, then we wouldn't have had nearly as much of a problem. And now I had to actually come up with a solution. So I've got my Alpha Cool radiator with my Corsair fans on here, which are white RGB. And then I've got an EK X-Res on here with RGB, which we're just gonna set to white, which will actually illuminate the reservoir, which will look neat. It'll kind of put some light in that empty area of the kit, or the case, doing too many models recently. And then this is just gonna go down to the pump, which is gonna be down below it like this. which will then go out to the rest of the system. So yeah, this is a little bit weird, technically, but it's all we got. It's the only thing we can do to make it work. Either that or I postpone this build even farther. I don't know if I want to, and I may still change this, but this is the problem. That's why some of the builds that I do take so long. So what I gotta do now is I gotta change the top out back to this top, and that way I can plumb up fittings, because at least we're gonna be able to go from the rad right to the top of the reservoir, and then out of the reservoir into the pump. So that at least takes care of kind of this area of it. I would love to be able to just use a pump down here as a reservoir combo, but that's not working with the amount of space that I have technically. And I don't have a D5 version of the Proteum, which I would love to use. So I'm just gonna kind of see how this works out. Worst case scenario, we order or go buy what we need and we continue it another day. Either way, we're gonna continue it another day because it's not going to be done today. There is no way, no how that's gonna be done today. All right, so this is what we got so far. As you can see, I put in all the cables so you can kind of see all the gold sort of tying in. We have the gold fittings here from Primo Chill, which I'm not too happy with. There's a lot of silver showing through. It's a very light dusting of gold and they're not consistent. Like all the fittings in the package have a different color consistency to them, so I might end up painting those myself. But with the gold RAM, the gold cables, and heck, check this out. We even have gold SATA cables for this. I like gold. Can I paint this Yoo-hoo gold? So yeah, this is how it's turning out, and this is how it's overall gonna look. So I've got a lot of cable combs on these cables for a couple of reasons. One, because they are paracord, the sleeving themselves are not gonna help keep it into position. So usually paracord flops around a little bit more. Two, because we are using the Pro cables on the sleeving kit here from Cable Mod, it's a thicker cable, which means that we can still train it. So I've got all of these here sort of training the cables in the position I want them to be in. Don't know if I'm gonna run these back through the motherboard tray or just go through this hole right here. The pump is down in here, I don't know if Phil can see it. So I'll be able to rotate the pump this way because it's just going straight down to the top of the pump for the inlet from the reservoir. And then I can use these two fittings, one of them's an out, and I can just use a 90, have it come straight up, and then out here into the CPU, and then from the CPU to the radiator. Those are the only two runs I'm gonna have to do. So that's where I'm gonna be ending part 2. And yeah, part 3 is gonna be filling it, turning it on, doing some benchmarks and all that stuff. Usually I do these builds and I don't even bother benchmarking them because I kind of adopt the mindset of, well, if you wanna know how Titan-X, it's not Titan-X, if you wanna know how T-Rex performs in SLI, we'll go watch a T-Rex SLI video, but might as well do it for you in this one. Our D-Lid 7980XE, we already know is gonna do fairly decently. We lapped that because it was not perfectly flat. We also lapped the block because it wasn't perfectly flat, so hopefully we'll see some decent performance. But it's time to go. I've spent all day literally on putting together a reservoir and a motherboard. And Phil has been so nice. Perfect employee is to point that out. All right, guys, I'm gonna go. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. We're using a 1600 watt power supply on this one too.
How's the audio right now?
Ooh, I wouldn't walk over here. You might want to walk that way.